Oof. I was, hi. I was talking to my daughter the other day, and who watches this when she can. I mean, it's I put them out at such a pace that anybody who has any kind of I mean, she has a young baby, she's just not going to be watching her mom all the time. But she said, because I felt so bad that I didn't have the button that makes the, so I can start the thing once I've sat down. And she said, she said, actually, Mom, it's sort of poignant, the whole thing. And like now, I've got this, I got out of the tub and it's weird hair day. She said all of that is actually kind of a good, it's part of the, it's like burning the Palo Santo. It's like, I don't know, it just sort of sets the stage. You're real and you're coming around and beginning the conversation. Kind of it's in your life somehow. I just liked that, so I stopped worrying about it. But she said right down to the oof when you sit down and bend over. You're real and it comes to, anyways. So I loved that, and it relieved me of a lot of anxiety about not having the buttons and the technology and all that stuff. The lights that go, and it never was going to happen. And the one thing, and I didn't even bring it over, but it was so short, I remember it. Well, I'd like also to thank you for joining us, for bringing your energy to the table as we try to dig in. And, oh, here it is. There's a kind of compensatory force at work in the universe that searches for both equilibrium, homeostasis, but also for, I mean, I call it, I call it the Ray Charles law of compensation. And I've had it in my own life in a big way, but, he was blind, but he could play the piano. Like the ears, the sense of vibrations in other ways got so much stronger because this particular sense was taken away. And I found in my own life where, when I've been hit by something that just, changes me by subtracting something, my balance or whatever it is, the universe steps in. And well, here's an example. During COVID, I mean, I was already pretty sick and stuff. Then COVID hit, so everybody was getting sick, and my daughter came and stayed with me for a long time. After she left, it was still quarantine. It wasn't that harsh, but it was still a thing. And so I was cut off from, as we all were, from a lot of what had comprised daily life and connection with other people. And for me, the compensatory thing, it came in slowly, and I almost croaked before it happened. It opened in the absence of those things I was used to as part of my daily life and my habit, including my connection with people, from the grocery store lady to my best friends, to my dearest family, got really wanked. And for me, Ray Charles' law of compensation, what came in was suddenly, whatever connection I had through the cards, which I have had for 50 years or something, but, my ability to tap into guidance, the trail guides, the spirit guides, whatever you want to call, I mean, in terms of the ancestors, of whatever is there, once everything else calms down. You can hear it. I mean, there are reasons why sages go into the desert or to the mountaintop, why hermit goes to the mountaintop. There's something about that when you're out of daily connection, the connection to that thing, which I call the wa, because it's named various things by various cultures, sects, people, sects. But they all are trying to get at that thing that's virtually impossible to name. That comes to that grows as the other stuff. There's compensation. The universe sort of steps into the space. The spirit steps into the space. And when you're empty inside, if with the right something, shift of perspective or something, the spirit steps in, or the spirit that's already in there steps up. I mean, I think that's all sort of semantics. But that was sort of what I came in with. And yeah, and then it's my shopping list. Cotton balls, lettuce. Okay. All right, I'm going to start off with a mini deck, which I don't usually do. I usually use them as clarifiers. This is a deck I haven't used in a long time. It's called The Wild Unknown, I believe. And it has a lot of animal imagery. It's a wonderful deck, and I'm thinking about getting the big version. I get the minis, always a good deal, and there's something nice about how little they are. So law of compensation. Haven't used this deck probably in maybe almost a year. It's a sweet one. I don't know. And then suddenly I'll be drawn back. I've used the other ones here, probably will today, over and over again for a long stretch. And then I'll change them up. Anyways, it's interesting how it's like, I'll wear this pair of pants today. Law of compensation, please, Spirit. First up, Six of Cups. And I'm not as familiar. Oh, interesting. Okay, 2 sixes. Six of Cups was the first one up. That's the card of sort of soulmate, nostalgia, déjà vu. And it has these roots. So it speaks to a relationship that's established in some way. And it can be like a past life soulmate. It can be that recognition in the other person. We've been here before. We've all been here before. But this is like the ones where you both know it. And then Six of Swords, which is the card of moving on from Five of Swords, which is strife, conflict, disagreement, two mindsets clashing sometimes, an exchange of words that is, like Five of Swords. I mean, I'm talking about the card that precedes this one, which is conflict, miscommunication, and so on. And this is a card of Six of Swords, moving on from that to a calm place. I said something about everything settling, and I can't even draw it back. But, and this is Cups. This speaks to feelings. This speaks to states of mind or styles of communication or, stuff like that. And Yeah, okay, let's see what else. They both describe different states of mind in a way. And one is the one where you can sort of see through the eyeballs of the heart. You know, through both who we are to each other now and who we've sort of been and who we've always been. That's that sense. But then there's a card of moving on. Nostalgia, and then a card of moving on. Maybe there was some strife. Well, let's see. I don't know. Spirit, I don't know. Tell us about the Six of Swords, the moving on to the brighter day. You know, there's a rainbow in the background. It's like, it's coming and we're headed there. Good grief. Okay. All right, well, it ended up. Okay, first one I saw was King of Swords. In that energy of, okay, hang on. In that energy of the moving on to the calmer place. And apparently it's also to the clearer place. It's stepping up into just a clear vision and moving on from the unclear. That Five of Swords, like, whose side are you on anyway, kind of energy. Don't need that anymore. That's not our language anymore. That's not our language. Says, fairly severe King of Swords, taking the form of the owl, the knowledgeable one, but also the raptor. I think that's what they're called. You know, the really good hunters. They have a keen eyesight. You know, they can swoop down and grab you in their talons. But what he has in his talons here is his sword, is his clarity. He can see, you know, what he's after, even in the dark, and go and get it. And I note that his sword of truth here and clarity, it has this full spectrum business on it, as does this guy. Really good combo of cards. So I'd say it's almost like bringing clarity and a sense of peace to this soulmate. I think it's a soulmate relationship. And looking at it with clarity. Next card out was a Seven of Cups, which is not clarity, but that's one reading of it. Seven of Cups can be confusion, options. I could do, you know, and it's Cups energy. You know, what do I see this as kind of like, where does my heart lie? There are a lot of other approaches. King of Swords kind of analysis, overview, Aquarian, take it all into consideration. And I've just noted in this depiction, there are the Six Cups upright. The Six Cups upright. But in this one, there's one turned over. So it's almost like ruling out one of the options. Maybe by gaining clarity on your choices, you know, because sometimes we can't choose everything we love. I don't know a good analogy for that, but you know. So there's almost a sense of sacrifice in this out of all these options. Sorry, I just realized I had my hand over the candle. And one may have passed us by, you know, an opportunity lost, one love, but it's the Six of Cups, Seven of Cups. But these two the cards of clarity, gaining clarity to the point where you are the embodiment of clarity. King of Swords, gaining clarity, Six of Swords, about this relationship that you've been in one way or another for a long time. And sevens speak to change, so something may be shifting. Next card up, Hangman, card number 12, which, interestingly enough, there are two sixes on the board. If you add them together, it equals 12. And then you can look at what is the major arcana associated with that 12 number, and it's Hangman. So we, you know, I don't always do that sort of idiosyncratic numerology thing of adding the two together, it equals what in major arcana. But I think in this case it really works, because it's Seven of Cups is a card of sort of considering the options. Hangman is a card of in cup energy, same energy, to do with feelings. Taking the time to gain a new perspective, sort it out, decide what action to take. And I'm getting the aspect, because here is the bat hanging upside down. They navigate by echolocation. So they send out the little tweet, 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 and can tell if there's a moth out there because of how the sound waves are returned to them, bouncing off the whatever it is. I really like that. I'm not sure what it means in this context, but I think it's sort of, the bat here is in repose. He's not out hunting. He's sort of waiting for daylight. But he has this capability that can come into play. And Hangman usually means, well, one of its meanings is the need to stop in order to gain a new, it's almost hermit-like in that way. To gain the perspective, you need to sort of withdraw. That had a weird resonance for me with the Ray Charles thing, but I can't figure it out. Ten of Swords. So the end of the I mean, this is, I wish I knew more about the myth, but this is 10 swords. It looks to me in the Minotaur. The Minotaur was the critter at the center of the maze. And somebody went in to slay the Minotaur, and I don't know my classical Greek mythology well enough. But he's the target of something, and there's a sword right through his eyeball. The swords are about clarity. And the Minotaur lives at the center of the labyrinth. But there's an ending here in sword energy. And I'd say Father of Swords, King of Swords, may have contributed to this. I sort of sense that his sword is the one in the Minotaur's eye. And he might be the Minotaur might be some aspect of himself. Minotaur was an angry, as I remember the myth, he was the hybrid son of Zeus, maybe, and somebody, and he, his mom gave birth to him having cheated on somebody. I mean, I'm like making a mess of it, but he was a hybrid of a human and a bull, and the dad was pissed. I think the dad was pissed. This is called Father of Swords. The dad was pissed, and somehow dealt the Minotaur this aspect of himself. I'm getting, there's a kind of we're done. Maybe we figured something out. We've identified you as us. We meant the enemy, and it was us. Tell us about this Father of Swords. The clarity, the clear thinker. And, there is that element in King of Swords of a bit of, not cold-heartedness, but certainly swords can be cold. So maybe it is kind of, somebody who'd do this might be kind of cold-hearted. Putting an end to some aspect of himself. Maybe by gaining a new perspective. Oh, absolutely lovely. Oh, I'm so glad for this. Right after Ten of Swords, which is a painful ending. It's a painful ending. Hot on the heels, the card of healing. Sagittarius. That finds balance. That restores. At the beginning, remember I said there's a restorative energy in the universe. That when you've been hurt, when you've been deprived of something, will fill the space. That's sort of like this. The healing thing that steps in. And it's also divine timing. If this thing ended, it was the right time. It was the right time. And it's through, I just noticed it's not only into his eyeball, it's out the other eyeball. It pierces in one side and goes out the other. It's almost like lobotomizing the beast, the angry beast, and healing it. And temperance carries the idea of sort of the divine protection. This is a heron. And it watches, into the water. It watches the water. It's a fire sign, Sag, and see there's that fire at the heron's feet. It's a water bird. But this has the element of phoenix, right? Rebirth. Rising from the ashes. And this is sort of the ashes. And maybe it took time and a new perspective to let go of that angry beast. That aspect of, I'd say, of Father of Swords. Does not need to be a masculine, might be. But it's the one that sort of, the action taker is to get the higher perspective, even on themselves. They have the clarity to not see through the eyes of the Minotaur, of the angry beast. He looks a little bit like an angry beast. But he's got the sword of truth, and he's put an end to something that really needed to end. and moved on. He, she, they moved on into clarity and connection. This might not be another person. Because, you know, and it's all the roots. And again, that full spectrum, you know, the rainbow. The roots are rainbows. And I like this too, because this is sword energy, head energy. And the rainbow's up high, you know. And here it's the rooted energy of the old connection, of all the old connections maybe. Give us the courage. Give us the clarity. And the you know, the universe steps in and protects us. Law of compensation, not 10 times over. It's a card of betrayal. It can be. But in comes the healing. The heron, the phoenix, you know. And I just recently saw a wonderful photograph. I think it was of a heron. Well, they do it to shade, to make shade so they can see the fish underneath. But they also do it to protect they do it as a protective thing over their children. And in this depiction, there are tears coming down onto the flame. Temperance is about mixing the two things, water and fire. Maybe even sadness and passion, life force and feelings, including sadness, being essential to the mix. Temperance, the mix, and divine timing. And I'm curious to see about, because something is certainly over. And now it's time, you know, having gained a new perspective, the epiphany, I think about this relationship and have gained clarity over this Seven of Cups confusion, gotten a new perspective on what needs to be over and done and healed. It's now time for, drum roll please, Hierophant. Another major arcana. 3 on the board. Hangman, Pisces. Temperance, Sag. And Hierophant, Taurus. So we have fire, water, earth, and our principal, our protagonist, our main character is air. You know, the whole read is about sort of coming to clarity. And in this case, you know, we have the lightning bolt coming down and striking the key, which reminds me of the Ben Franklin, how do you discover electricity? You go out in a thunderstorm and send a kite up with a key on it and zap. I think that's I think that's one of our myths. But that he did discover electricity, yes, indeed. By attracting that power that's always there, it's chi energy, it's all around us. You know, we live in an magnetic field. We are living on a big magnet. The core of the earth, I do believe, I mean, I should shut up. But this is the card of the teacher, of the lesson, the knowledge. What are you unlocking? And I think it's the principle that is there all the time to be tapped into. It can be your perch, in fact. And I get this thing about the hangman bat being upside down, hanging from something, and this guy right side up and perched on the thing. Nighttime, daytime. Electricity. It's almost like the superpowers or something. I can see in the dark. I can channel chi energy. It is a teacher. And I see this guy, the raven, quoth the raven, is speaking. And crows speak. They have their own language. They also can be trained to say, come over, Red Rover, or whatever. But there's a way in which the chi energy goes down into this character, and they're able to speak it. Because Hierophant is a spiritual teacher. I mean, that's one big meaning of it. The one who knows, who has the knowledge, and can impart it. And it might be like time to transform, because temperance is also about when you mix these two together, what happens? It's like alchemical almost. When it's time for this, it's time for this. There's something about stepping into your role as the person who can speak about. I said the wa, it's the thing you can't talk about. Well, this is a character who tries. He tries to speak about that wa thing, and speaks the truth. King of Swords. Stick with this deck. Okie dokie. Let's start with Hangman. The getting the revelation, seeing in the dark, echolocation. Wow, that was fast. Is that really what I think it is? It is. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. We got 2 10s. And one on the board already. 10 of Cups. With this interweave of the rainbow colored thingies, which I venture to say are just like our interconnectedness. Ten of Pentacles. Manifest here. Manifest. It's the heart making its way to the surface, sort of, and into our lives. Pouring that loving energy of connectedness into our lives, our daily lives, our daily work. So whatever this, excuse me, sorry, it's like choking time. The epiphany has to do with ending a cycle that no longer served, a way of thinking, a speaking, having anger at the center of the labyrinth. It's time to change it. It's time to temper it. It's time, tempo, to temper it, bring it into balance. And it's supported by, the over-I, the wa, that thing. And this character is at the center of the rainbow. It has absorbed it all. And it's done that phoenix thing. It's brought, it's healed the situation enough that something's brought back to life. And to really good, on the heart level and on the physical level, temporal level, where time passes, you invest in a deep way over time. And these are the relationships that have nourished you. And from this new perspective, that's not the perspective of anger, it's of anger healed. And what's at your center now? The balance, rising from the ashes, speaking the truth. I love that Hierophant card because it's almost like the lightning bolt comes in. And Hierophant is earth energy. It's Taurus. So it comes in from above and you speak it. In this realm of sort of time and space and all the while overseen by this divine presence. Boom. The new perspective. And it might be also that it shows you when this Ten of Swords goes out, and take the time to sort of fill up the tanks, Hangman, this steps in. A fulfillment of connection in 3D. Hangman energy, cup energy, water energy in 3D. That's the blend. Okay, it took me a while to get there, but that's what temperance is affording us, is the blend of feelings and that are within our reach, that are that are grounded and real. Wow. That was going to be on 10 of Swords. Let's see what it is. Okay, 7 of Wands. It's a card of, I see it in this depiction of standing up for something. It can be blocking, but I don't see that here. I see that these guys have been pushed aside. These 6 have been pushed aside so that this one is has the room and the space to come in. And it's fire energy. And this is the card of sort of what's pushed aside. The beast, the angry beast at the center, so that this inspired creative thing comes forward, pushed aside, so that the light can, not be smothered, and here's the light echoed again in Temperance. And I'm suddenly very hot. It's just getting warm here. Like I have on little leggings and I have to take it off. I'm sorry. I just won't be able to think straight otherwise. So, one on Temperance, please. Divine timing. Okay. 2. 2 of Swords. This shows an eclipsed sun. Here comes through. The sun would be, the thing coming to consciousness and being revealed. This is the block. It's about trying to figure something out. It's a choice. And yet the third 6, 6 of Pentacles. It's stable, it's fair, it's even. What you put in, you get out. It's not like a situation where I put in a ton of effort and time and get nothing back. In this one, yes you do. It's fruitful in that Pentacles energy. And it's sort of like halfway there. More than halfway there. There's a choice. Yeah. It's time, it's divine timing to make a decision. Based on earth energy, what's real, what's valuable. And there is an implication, like in traditional Rider-Waite, there's a scale, and each, it's a beggar, it's 2 beggars. I don't really like that depiction at all, but it's about equal give and take. And there's something about blocking the angry beast energy. Because Temperance is also kind of divine protection. And this can be a card of protection. The 7 of Swords, where the character is blocking the incoming and I'm getting it now. No, I'm not. Temperance is, well, Pentacles miracles take time. And I think it's sort of like, now's time for, we have enough for an equal exchange. We've come to a crossroads. Okay. One on Hierophant, please. Okay, I see an outlier down below, which I'll get in a minute, but I thought something else dropped. Hierophant, please. Okay. Good girl, Rue, lie down. We have 9 of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles, 3 of Swords. So Hierophant is instructing, is articulating embody it. You know, this should be your state of being, abundant and self-sustaining, where you're taking care of yourself. You know, and not, not shying away from taking care of the other guy at all. But this is a card of independence and single. You know, I can stand alone. I can stand alone. Page of Pentacles is some sort of offer. It's not a big offer. It's a fawn offer. It's fragile even. It's brand new. I mean, baby fawns, you know, they kind of stagger around, but they show up. They show up. So I think it's sort of like, be independent on your own, but don't be fixed. You know, hold out this fresh thing, this new thing. Don't be set in your ways, I guess. And if you add these two together, what Princess of Earth, what do they call it here? No, Pentacles. She's offering one more to this 9, which makes 10, which is on the board. And I think somebody's accepting an offer kind of without giving up your independence. You can come into 10 of Pentacles energy, this sort of connection with 3D connection with all the people around you. It's a completion. This small thing makes a completion. It's an invitation to sort of join the dance. 3 of Swords. Well, it's the opposite of joining the dance. This is a card of separation and heartbreak. And in this, they're all bound by this red. They're in a tangle. It's sort of in a tangle of pain. I get the image of like the trap that traps the animal. And I got to clarify that because I don't get it. Can you tell us about this 3 of Swords, please? And it might be an offer. Accepting an offer Sure. Tell us about this Three of Swords, please. This painful, you know, the red stuff around it almost becomes blood dripping off the end. Something went down. Oh yeah, well, Five of Cups, a card of loss, grief. Nine of Pentacles is the grounded. It's an energy of Virgo on Hierophant, energy of Taurus. So there's sort of doubling down on the earth energy aspect of this. And I think it's something like having enough stability and you're grounded enough that you can absorb this chi energy, the energy of the universe. You can ground it, you know, as it doesn't zap you into the... Grounded enough in yourself so that you can offer. Hierophant, speak the... Give words to that thing that can't be easily spoken. You're a teacher. A spiritual teacher. And you can't give the whole, you know, you can't eat the pie for somebody else. So you can't give the whole thing, but you can give a taste. You can give a taste because you've done it for yourself. And it may not seem a lot when you're in the position of, okay, of trying to heal what's broken and what we grieve for. And what's the balm for this kind of pain and sorrow? Which comes, I mean, it's like nobody this into everyone's life, a little rain must fall. Well, no shit. But you're able to offer something that heals it through something tangible and small. It's like, you know, just the tangible gesture, however small, is what addresses these things. It's not saying, you know, I send out my thoughts and prayers, you've been in a school shooting, and I'm not casting shade on thoughts and prayers because I think they make a difference. Those kind of things actually do go out. But this is the tangible thing. This is the soup kitchen of the soul. This is somebody who offers something out of their own stability and abundance. They're like reaching out to address the hurt and the sorrow. Because that's what Hierophant does. It's not like Hierophant says, welcome to the high life. You know, this is the spiritual way and it's going to be, you know. What can address that pain and that sorrow? And particularly the sorrow, because that's the other 5 card. The feeling of the grief. I was thinking this morning about grief, and that there are different levels of grief, and mean, some of it is so, your whole body reacts. I had somebody who was very dear to me die, and at their funeral, there was food, as there, that's what you have the potluck, and you eat the the Jello casserole and whatever it is. In this case, it was a more informal thing of the close-knit family, and somebody had made it was a rice and beans dish, and it was delicious and very filling, and it was wintertime, so it made sense, and everybody was just in these big bowls piled with the stuff, and it came around to me, and I was hungry, and I took the first bite, and I couldn't, I could barely swallow it. I just couldn't eat it. I couldn't. And eventually this drew the attention of some of the other people who were like, eat up, manje, you gotta keep eating. And I could not swallow. I was in that, it was like grief was in my body. It wasn't even, it was completely beyond my control. And one of the people actually said, "Are you going to finish that?" And they proceeded to take and eat it up. And that went on for a long time. It just did. My body was just in rebellion. In any number of ways, and I could go into the details, but I won't. So when grief does that, and appears to take it all away, 5 of Cups, you're in mourning for what you've lost. You're in pain. It hurts. Law of compensation, Spirit steps in. And by virtue of having experienced this yourself, you've done some healing and some around both of these kinds of loss, and you've got something to impart, and it's time. It's sort of like the universe is saying, you're ready to step up. You've lost, and it's taught you something that you can then pass on to other people that will ameliorate, will modify, will temperance their pain and suffering. And on the bottom of the deck, Sun. Source energy, warmth, happiness, revelation, back in the light. And it's sort of like when you are in this energy, this Leo energy, this fire energy of Sagittarius Leo, your healing energy is warms the world. Warms the world. I think that's it. Okay. Mother of Wands, Queen of Wands. again, in that fire energy, it's embodying it. The warmth, the intuition, and it's also this protective, it's like temperance, that protective energy, of the universe protecting. She's protecting her eggs. And the snake here is like the renewal, shedding the skin, the cyclical birth and rebirth, that phoenix image again, embodying life force in a way that nurtures, like the Daughter of Pentacles, that gift that you can give based on your own passion, your purpose, your creativity, your willingness to protect that energy and embody it. This always happens, but I can't help it. And then we have Hermit. We talked about Hermit before. That need to get, what happens when you're alone and the universe steps in with the law of compensation and with a gift. Also reminds me of this. The flame you keep alive. Hermit, Virgo energy. Boy, this is heavily earth fire. It's laden with that. Okay, and I'm supposed to speak them. This is, coming down from the high place to, remember I said like light up the world? Who could do that? Queen of Wands. She doesn't hide her light under any kind of bushel. And even with the turtle can retreat inwards, but the light is on its back. And it also speaks to time. Hermits are old souls. Hermit usually depicted as a father time kind of thing. And that's the way it is, as Walter Cronkite used to say. Wow. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to the subscribers. You want to join? It's free. Subscribe. It just allows you to see when we post the videos. And I'm working on a sort of next tier level, and I'm still working it out. But it's going to coming to you in the month of May. I've sort of set that as a time frame for myself to get my act together. It takes time. And I didn't name them, so I will, if I can do it upside down now. Leo, Virgo, by implication, Aquarius. There's a lot of sword energy. Pisces, Sagittarius, Taurus, Virgo. I think that's it. A lot of major arcana, but it's all about bringing it into being. That's a big theme here. As a teacher who can offer something because you've been through it, the hurt and the sorrow. Out of that, you've extracted a teaching, a message, a lesson that you can articulate. And good on you. You know, that's alchemy right there. Till next time.